Diamond Scales by DawnFade. Inside a tree-turned home in the middle of a small town, a purple and green shape rose grumbling from his bed and trudged to the stairs.
Having trouble sleeping, Spike? That's a first.
Twilight giggled at the flat expression on the dragon's face.
Leave the jokes to me, Twy.
He leapt from the stairs onto the main floor of the library, stumbling slightly as he landed. It was dark outside, but the wall lanterns provided a decent amount of light. And Twilight was lying on the floor, a dozen books opened around her. The adolescent dragon was slightly bigger than her, yet he still retained a younger nature about him as he flopped to the floor beside the librarian. She frowned, concerned.
What's the matter, Spike? You know how you've always been telling me to think more and exercise my mind?
He sighed.
I'm tired of thinking.
Twilight lowered her book to the ground and reached over to put a hoof on his shoulder.
Is something bothering you in particular?
He grunted and waved her hoof away.
It doesn't matter.
After a few moments, he hesitantly continued.
Twilight, could you read me a story like you used to? I need to take my mind off stuff.
Smiling, she kissed him on the forehead.
Sure. How about the Mare and the Monster?
His heart kicked at such an apt yet painful title, but he dared not show any reaction.
Yeah, that'll do.
With a pulse of purple magic, a large, worn book floated from across the room to rest at Twilight's feet.
Let's see.
She murmured as the page flipped from the intangible fingers.
Ah, there it is. Are you ready?
Spike gave a half-hearted thumbs up.
Yeah. Once upon a time, there was a beautiful mare. She had fur that glowed in the day and sparkled at the night. Her mane flowed like a creek over polished gemstones, captivating all who looked her way. All across the land, stallions and mares alike would give up everything to try and win her heart. They traveled from far and wide and offered her their most valuable possessions. She gracefully refused them all, of course, and the ponies began to wonder if she would actually ever accept a suitor. Until one day, a great call went out that a monster lived in the forest not far from the beautiful mare. Suddenly, the ponies cried, the one who slays the foul beast and brings it as an offering will gain the mare's favor. For so many weeks and many months, ponies of all kinds and comings threw themselves bravely at the monster, but alas, the beast was indomitable, and the ponies were cast down by the hundreds. It filled the mare's heart with great sorrow to see so many die for her, and she wept tears of liquid diamond. Where they fell, white roses grew. It was in the sight of these white roses that a knight in gleaming shining armor swore a vow to end the mare's sadness by defeating the monster. He marched, empowered by the scent of her grief and the wells of honor in his chest, and where he stepped on other ponies would kiss, reverent of the one whose righteousness would conquer even the most dastardly of creatures. In the forest, the knight faced his greatest encounter without fear, though the beast was cunning in its own devious way, and had set traps for those who wandered too far. The battle was fierce, beastly angered against the noble steel, but the knight held steadfast in his resolve. With a mighty roar, the monster was felled by its own traps, and the knight stood victorious. When the ponies saw what had been done, they cheered and praised him with the highest of honors. A parade took him through the streets, the dead beast carried on the backs of hundreds of ponies. He laid the beast before the mare, and her joyful smile warmed the hearts of all who saw it. She requested the knight's hoof in marriage, and they were joined at the very moment. Together they lived, and there was the envy of all the land. The end.
Spike snorted.
It doesn't mention love. Huh?
Twilight looked up from the pages.
It doesn't say they loved each other. Not once.
He rolled over so Twilight couldn't see his face.
Well, I suppose not. But it's probably given, right? When is love ever given?
He muttered.
Spike, stop being deep. You're scaring me.
She chuckled nervously.
The whole story is stupid. It makes the monster seem dumb, falling into its own traps. It lived there and those ponies were attacking it. It was probably hurt and confused, lashing out at any pony who come near.
The young dragon pushed himself to his feet and paced angrily.
It's just an old ponytail. Don't get so worked up over it. But it's wrong!
He roared, slamming a claw down, sending splinters of wood into the air. Twilight eyes widened.
Spike?
She started, but the words died as the dragon stomped over to the door and into the night. A fire of anger kept the cold at bay as much as his tough scales. Fury incarnate stormed the town on all fours, tails swaying menacingly as imagined scenarios of violence played across his mind. If any ponies tried to stop him, they would go ignored. All except a single mare, a unicorn, purple-maned and lustrous with a fine scarf of patterned silk around her neck, and hastily dressed pink slippers upon her hoofs, stepped out into the night, watching the maliciously minded miscreation mind his way past her home.
Spiky?
She called in a concerned tone. He halted, surprised that the voice he so adored would address him. His anger could hardly continue to exist under her soft blue gaze, and the absence of fury left him feeling hollow.
Hey, Rarity.
What's the matter, darling? You look stressed.
Spike felt absurdly grateful for her delicate description.
It's nothing. Sorry to be a bother to you this late.
He tried to leave, but a little hoof on his chest stopped him. It was more of a gesture than a physical attempt to restrain him, but he stopped anyway.
Nonsense. You clearly have something on your mind, and you're not going to get any peace if you don't talk about it.
He sounded so resolute and certain that he didn't hesitate in believing her.
Well, it's kind of hard to talk about.
He began. The words caused a burst of energy in his mind, as is common when one talks to one's crush.
You know how for a long time, years, I sort of had a crush on you?
She opened her mouth to interject, but he held up a claw.
Let me finish. Don't act surprised because you're way too smart to not to notice.
A barely visible blush formed on her cheeks as she looked away.
It's only recently that I've begun to realize how stupid it is. You've known me for years, but it's taken me a long time to figure it out. I'm a dragon and you're the pony. I'm the monster, you're the mare.
Rarity pawed at the ground, frowning.
I never really liked that story, you know. It never once mentions...
Love? Yeah, I noticed. Twilight said it was a given.
She chuckled.
That certainly sounds like Twilight.
With a heavy sigh, she raised her eyes to meet Spike's once more.
Can I tell you a different story, Spike?
The young dragon knelt to her level.
Does it have a happy ending?
Rarity bit her lip nervously.
It might.
After a moment, Spike nodded and she began.
Once upon a time, there was a gorgeous mare. She was the star of her town, and everybody knew her. Countless stallions and mares approached her every day, begging for a chance to court her. The mare loved it at first, but over time she became overwhelmed by her attention. It was an effort to get some peace. She turned away all her suitors and resigned herself as perpetual loneliness. Her only comfort was her work and dressmaking.
Spike's eyes widened, but Rarity quickly held up a hoof, determined to finish the story.
Eventually, she made some friends, one who truly appreciated her for who she was, 5 other mares and a baby dragon.
The dragon she spoke of smiled slightly and scratched the back of his head. Rarity smiled too and edged slightly closer.
Now, this baby dragon was a helpful little scoundrel, always assisting the mare in her work, keeping her company, even when she droned on about fashion. A true gentle dragon.
Spike deflated slightly, reminded of the differences once more. The light, musical laugh of the white unicorn picked him right back up. However, Rarity's eyes were far away as she looked into their shared memories.
He even volunteered to be a mobile pincushion once.
Spike couldn't help but chuckle along with her surreal recollection. He had been so much smaller back then. The dressmaker sobered up quickly, though, becoming more serious once more.
The mayor, appreciated his unending generosity more than she ever dare say, for fear of attracting the wrong kind of attention once more. Knowing that the baby dragon shared her feelings was almost unbearable, yet still endeavored to maintain an air of ignorance to keep her life in order. That is, until one night, when she saw him stomping past her house with fury in his eyes. She leapt on the opportunity to talk to him. To her surprise, he confessed his feelings. The mayor felt unimaginable guilt that she had made him so bitter through her false ignorance.
Rarity shuffled even closer.
She knew the only way to make him feel better was to get over her fear and return the confession.
Her words were a warm pulse in his heart, pushing back the night's chill.
Rarity.
He whispered. She swallowed nervously and quickly continued speaking.
But she didn't know what to do next, and she started to worry about what others would think, and she sort of wished he would shut her up with a big hug before she explodes.
Dragon rushed forward and gently wrapped his arms around her neck. Gently, because he was so much larger than her, that his every action that needed to be measured. She melted into his embrace heavily. While her hooves couldn't reach all the way around his neck, she certainly made the attempt with enthusiasm. For a time, the mare and the monster took simple comfort in each other.
I like that story.
Said the monster.
I like this story better,
Replied the mare.
Dear Princess Celestia, I'm worried about Spike. He's been very depressed and tired lately, and today, when I read him a story, it only seemed to make him more upset. I just don't know why. I've always found The Mare and the Monster to be a very sweet story. I know he shouldn't be bothering with things like this, but I'm not certain how to help him. Your faithful student, Twilight Sparkle.
Dear Twilight Sparkle. You shouldn't hesitate to contact me for any reason. Asking questions and seeking advice is something I always encourage. As for Spike, I may have an idea about why he reacted the way he did. Trying to tell him that it was a manticore that was killed, not a dragon. Also, the knight most certainly did not win my heart by dragging the thing into my throne room. Rather, he was imprisoned for poaching. These things are a habit of getting exaggerated by enthusiastic historians. Your teacher, Princess Celestia.
Dear Princess Celestia. What?
The end.